What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie. Going to do a quick deep dive into Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR's studio albums. Going to rank them, going to review them, not going to play music from them. And yeah, that's it. 7 albums. Talk about each one. I'll drop the list on the screen at the end, but I'll go through them from 7 to 1. The link for Frank Zappa. I'm trying to connect everything to Frank Zappa. Make this is Frank Zappa's the ZMU, the Zappa Music Universe. Yeah, Zappa's Musical Universe. That poster. Look, CCR, opening act, Ainsley Dunbar. Ainsley Dunbar! Ainsley Dunbar! All right. Yeah, he was a drummer for Frank at one point, among other acts, and among other drummers. All right, but that's the connection. All right, so let's get on with this. I'm a big CCR fan. Grew up a CCR. My parents both love CCR. The album that is number 1 on this list was essentially bread and water in my house. I've known this since one of the first albums I ever knew and discovered. That'll be the one that's at number 1. Other than that, I would say they have 1 obviously weak album, 2 albums, 1, 2, let's do the math right, 1 pretty good album, and then 3 that I think any of those 3 could be number 1. 3 absolute sort of top tier albums, which will be the 3 at the top of this list. But anyways, let's get on to this list. Number 7 is this. Their last 1972's Mardi Gras. Fogerty pretty much wanted the band to be over. John, that is. Tom had already quit, was not in the band. Fogerty's like, hey guys, why don't we make this a democracy and everybody's got to write songs? And guess what? You got to sing them too. And apparently the other band members didn't really like that, but they did it anyways. And the results are pretty forgettable. Fogerty has 3 songs on here. The opening, Looking for a Reason, country soft rock with some very sort of country-esque vocals. Someday Never Comes, which is a really nice Fogerty CCR ballad. Nice little rock and drop in there. It's a pretty good song. And then the closing, Sweet Hitchhiker, which is a rocker, fun little song. Yeah, fun little number. Nothing on there. I think Someday Never Comes, I would say, is the most memorable of the 3. Other than that, bass player Cook got 3 numbers. Drummer Clifford's got 3 numbers. They drop a cover in there of Hello, Mary Lou that Fogerty sings. Don't need this in any way, shape, or form. The Cook songs, the second song, Take It Like a Friend, a very Americana band-esque type rock, but ultimately kind of forgettable. The third song, both Cook and Clifford wrote. Clifford sings it, a country rock Americana song that's kind of forgettable. Clifford has a song called Tearing Up the Country, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th song on the album. Kind of a rockabilly country vibe, kind of forgettable. Then we got the Someday Never Comes. Then we got a song from Clifford called What Are You Gonna Do? Some nice guitar in there. I mean, this isn't a complete waste of time as an album. Upbeat poppy country, Sail Away, a Cook song, country American rock. Cook is a rough singer. He's trying his best. We're gonna applaud him for that. Hello, Mary Lou, Door to Door, which is a rocker by Cook, and then Sweet Hitchhiker. Yeah, just kind of forgettable. Yeah, skip this one, really, honestly. Get a greatest hits package and get Someday Never Comes off that and just enjoy it. All right, that would be my number 7. My number 6 is their number 6, 1970s Pendulum. Interestingly enough, the first one that doesn't have any covers, and then the one after this would have a cover. Very interesting relationship they have with covers. I think on several of their albums, the covers are maybe the highlights. Look at their debut. There are other albums where like, this is a great album except for the covers. So very interesting relationship with covers, but this is the first one that does not have any. Really, as far as hits on this album, Have You Ever Seen the Rain was on here. That bass line into the first verse is just absolutely classic. That was a hit. Hey Tonight, which is kind of like a, fun little rocker. It's got the bouncy, almost Beatle-esque middle section that's pretty cool. That was pretty much it as far as, I guess, things you'd find on a greatest hits package on this album. There was one song called Chameleon, which should have been an FM radio hit. This is like probably the sleeper deep cut of them all. There's horns. There's this Motown bounce to the whole thing, though it is definitely a pop rock thing, but there is some little Motown bounce in there, some great keys. Chameleon should have been a hit. I don't understand that. There's another good song called Wish I Could. Hideaway has a very nice Procol Harum vibe, has some nice organ work in there, just your moody kind of slow burning ballad. Another song called Born to Move, which has this very fun, upbeat R&B adjacent type vibe. There's horns, fun vibe, nice little mid-song cool down with this bass-led jam that's right there that goes on for quite long. That's actually pretty good. CCR jamming is a pretty hit and miss proposition. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's just like, this is not their forte, even though it works sometimes. This time I think it works. Other than that, it's an okay album. Opens up with Pagan Baby, which is just like jammy blues, psych guitar type jam that it's there. Sailor's Lament, soft rock, organ keys type vibe, a little Americana gospel country rock vibe in there, upbeat little number. Towards the end of the album, we have a song called It's Just a Thought, slower organ, sort of infused mid-tempo number. Then we close out, two songs close out, Molina, which is almost like a traveling band type vibe, but not as rowdy, just kind of inconsequential rock. And then Rude Awakening number 2, which is just this kind of slowly developing prog rock ballad type thing that descends into some weird instrumental psych prog weirdness. Very indulgent psych nonsense that is not their strength. So, not a horrible album, but kind of inconsistent. Couple middle of it, the middle run from Chameleon, Have You Ever, Hideaway, Born to Move is super strong, but the things that bookends those, you can give and take. So, that's my number 6. My number 5 is their second album, 1969's Bayou Country. Yeah, this has some 3 absolutely great songs, one kind of decent song, and then 3 kind of indulgent jams that are like, oh, this is not their strength. Like on their first album, the one that preceded this, they had some pretty awesome jams and they tried to duplicate that energy and just wasn't as successful. But it opens up with Born on the Bayou, which is one of the things Creedence does incredibly well is write songs that evoke places. Run Through the Jungle, Lodi, Proud Mary, Born on the Bayou. Those are songs centered around locations, and musically they do an amazing job of evoking what it feels like to be in that location. Born on the Bayou. This is what the Bayou feels like. It is thick. You got that drawl in there. You want to move quickly and do things, but the humidity just kind of like almost literally prevents you from moving, because at its most humid, there is nothing worse than a Louisiana humidity in the hot summer. And like literally there are bugs everywhere. It like goes on a little bit longer than maybe it should. It's like over 5 minutes, but that's the Bayou. Like you take your time doing things because you kind of have no choice down there. It's just absolutely perfect. Like if you've never been in Louisiana in the summer, or even in like Southeast Texas down there, just listen to this song. Turn off your air conditioner, sweat. I mean, just it's a perfect song. The other 2 really good songs on here, Penthouse Popper, a little more attitude and swag than a normal CCR thing, some great guitar, slightly edgier side to this band, especially on their second album. And then Proud Mary, which is just, I mean, one of the greatest pop rock, whatever genre this is, one of the greatest swamp songs ever. You feel the Mississippi. You're rolling down that Mississippi. Proud Mary, baby. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. What else you get on here is Bootleg, which is a nice kind of tightly wound, fun little jammy song. Graveyard Train, 8.5 minutes of a slower blues jam. Way too indulgent. Doesn't really work, I don't think. Good Golly Miss Molly, which I'm just a no on. And then Keep on Chooglin', which is another one. Close to 8 minutes long. It's a long bluesy jamming song. I think this works live. This sounds like a live bar band type song. don't really know if it holds my attention for all 8 minutes. There is some good energy in this song, but I think it's a little bit indulgent. Doesn't It almost feels like it's a step sideways from their debut album. I mean, you do have Born on the Bayou and Proud Mary, which just shows the top tier songwriting skills that Fogerty has, but it's a very inconsistent album. Which means my number, I gotta look at my list. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. We're gonna check. My number 4 is their debut album. We're gonna go back a year, 1968. This one is about the jams. They're kicking out the jams on their debut album, and it's pretty interesting. As far as like actual Fogerty stretching his songwriting skills, there's really only one song on here where you're like, oh, okay, that's a little hint at the future CCR magic, and that's Porterville, which has that early CCR vibe, kind of almost has like a Proud Mary adjacent type feel. It's catchy, but at the same time, it's a little bit. It's really the only one that really has that sort of future CCR singles band pop hook mentality. What makes the rest of this album work are the jams and their covers. Opens up with a cover of Screaming Jay Hawkins' I Put a Spell on You. The vibe just works. CCR understands this song. Absolutely, I don't know, nails it for me. We get the 8.5-minute Susie Q, which I believe was their first big hit. Absolutely another just absolutely fantastic guitar jam. I don't know why more jam bands don't cover Susie Q. This is like, I could see many a jam band like burying this deep in like a tweezer or a rec chem or something where you're jamming something and you kind of slide into this and slide out of it. I don't know. Fantastic. And then there's another song called Gloomy, which is gloomy. It's bluesy. It's moody. Super interesting song. Indulgently kind of psyche. Yeah, they're hitting the jams on here really well. Other than that, you have a song called The Working Man, which is like your kind of poppy, bluesy rock CCR style. You can hear the promise in this one, but we're not quite there. 99.5 won't do. Wilson Pickett cover. I like the pick. There's something about this that's just not Fogerty's strength or CCR strength. And then it closes with something called Walk on Water, which is, the chorus has some pretty CCR energy in there, but it's just an okay song. But it's an interesting debut, and they would return to this jamming aspect a number of times throughout their career. But really, it's interesting. This is the only glimpse that shows the singles band version of them is Porterville. But that would be my number 4, which means the next 3 albums, I could see anybody putting as either 1, 2, or 3. But for me, I have at number 3 this one, Willie and the Poor Boys. Their 4th came out in 1969. Yeah, it's got a bunch of hits on it. Opens up with Down on the Corner. Absolute super catchy poppy Americana, roots country. I mean, what a fantastic song. Fortunate Son is on here. Arguably their best song. Just 2 minutes and 19 seconds of absolute perfection. Midnight Special is on here. I think my first real big exposure to this song, they didn't play this one a lot on the radio, which is a crying shame, was in Twilight Zone, the movie. And then I went out, I think I bought this album, might have been after the movie, literally we saw it in a mall. I think I walked into we didn't have Sam Goody. What was it? Warehouse Records. I think I bought this album because I love Midnight Special. Those are the big hits, but this is a great album. There's an underlying darkness to this. So opens up with Down on the Corner. Next is a Chuck Berry rocker called It Came Out of the Sky. Then we have a cover of a song called Cotton Fields, the Cotton Song. Cover of a Lead Belly song. I love this. It's really good. Country, folky, gently bluesy. Awesome cover. We get an instrumental called Poor Boy Shuffle, which is an amusing little jam in there. I think we got some washboard action. Feeling Blue, which is like a slow blues song. Nice groove. It works at this point in the album. I don't think it's anywhere else on the album. Maybe it's not like I'm not a big fan sometimes of their jams. Like sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But this one works at this point in the album because it's surrounded by such other strong material. Fortunate Son, Don't Look Now, sort of a light Elvis rockabilly type thing. Feels like Big Train to Memphis. later Fogerty song, really good. Midnight Special, Side of the Road, another bluesy instrumental. And then we close out with Effigy, which is amazing. It's like this funky country rock jamming type thing, almost like you could feel like My Morning Jacket being influenced by this type of thing. We get this slightly psychedelic, loose, dark energy. Effigy, just a fantastic, fantastic way to close this album. Super strong album. I've seen a lot of people put this up at number one, but for me, I have it at 3. Though I think it is part of their great trilogy, right in the middle of their discography. So I have this at number 1, which means at number 2 I have their 5th album, 1970s Cosmos Factory. Yeah, another one that's just chock filled with really good hits. Traveling Band is on here. Listening to this now, there's a saxophone that's kind of really buried, that's not prominent, but you hear it in there, and which I found interesting because there's not a lot of sax mostly throughout this album. But then on the very last song, Long as I Can See the Light, there's actually a saxophone solo, and it's almost like Chekhov's sax. Like if a saxophone appears on the first half of the album, there better be a sax solo on the back half of the album, and it pays off. But I don't know why I keyed on that the last time I listened to this. It's like, oh, some nice sax buried in there, but it really is. It's buried in there and not prominent. But Traveling Band is on here. Looking Out My Back Door, which is some nice, awesome, trippy psych lyrics. Apparently it was actually written for his kid, but it sounds trippy psych, like some of the best lyrics of all time, written for children, but they're trippy psyche to us adults. The Bakersfield sound, that classic mid-California sound right here. Run Through the Jungle, another absolute, one of their great environment songs. You feel like you're running through a jungle. I've never actually run through a real jungle, but that's what it feels like. Not a Vietnam song. It's an anti-gun song written in the 70s, and we've only gotten worse in the past 55 years. We are now running through even more of a dangerous jungle. So fantastic. Up Around the Bend is on here, classic pop rock. Who'll Stop the Rain is on here. Another just folk rock brilliance. This one is about Vietnam and Woodstock. I Heard It Through the Grapevine is on here. Absolutely epic. This is a fantastic album. This is like a near perfect album. Opens up with Ramble Tamble, which has this awesome, loose, jammy song that is this great tempo change in the middle, this awesome, awesome, awesome middle section. Before You Accuse Me, Bo Diddley cover. Not okay with that. I mean, not bad, but not the greatest thing. Traveling Band, fantastic. Ooby Dooby, cover of the Orbison song. Yeah, okay. Almost think like this should have been later in the album, like dropped right before Heard It Through the Grapevine. I just think sequencing would have been better. Looking Out My Back Door, Run Through the Jungle, Up Around the Bend. Like, what a sick sequence of songs right there. My Baby Left Me, a blues, Elvis covered this. Who'll Stop the Rain, brilliant. Heard It Through the Grapevine, epic, epic guitar playing. Long as I Can See the Light, nice slow drums, awesome keyboards on this, and a sax solo. But yeah, a super amazing, fantastic, awesome album. Cosmos Factory, my number 2. Which means my number 1, 1969's, their third, Green River. I think this might have been the very first CD my mom bought when we bought a CD player. This album was in my house on 8-track, on cassette, on CD. We all listened to it. We all loved it. My parents got divorced. Both halves loved this album and listened to it, but my mom was the big CCR fan. To me, growing up, this was like a perfect album. I learned to love every song. I don't think it has flaws. Just absolutely amazing, amazing, amazing. Opens up with Green River, which is just a nasty little song. I don't think this song gets enough props for its absolute nastiness. Bullfrogs and barefoot girls dancing in the moonlight. Man, I love Green River as an opening. Absolutely overlooked, absolutely underappreciated. Then we get Commotion, just guitars come in screaming and we're off. Jammy. This song is the embodiment of what a commotion feels like. Super nasty riffs. The song is Commotion. Tombstone Shadow, we get a Sam Berdue reference. Sam Berdino. Bluesy, upbeat rocker. The absolutely perfect I Wrote a Song for Everyone. Just a mid-tempo ballad. I wrote a song for everyone when I couldn't do it all for you. I don't know. I'm bad with lyrics, but it is just absolutely amazing. Political folk, CCR, love, optimism. Absolutely powerful, powerful song. Bad Moon Rising. Does it get more perfect than Bad Moon Rising? And this album, listening to this album from start to finish, when you get to Bad Moon Rising, it somehow just works even better. And knowing that this is 69, the whole idea of a Bad Moon Rising and everything that's going on in the world and the political strife and the war, and just what a fantastic song. Lodi, man, this is a great song. Sort of about a traveling musician stuck in Lodi, staying in one of those Elmore Leonard type motels. I've been in Lodi. We actually stopped in driving back from Vegas. We would stop in Lodi. You take these back roads to get to Vegas, back to Northern California. And Lodi is on the way. And this was back in the 80s. And even then, it was like this middle of nowhere type place. So I can only imagine what it would have been like in the 60s. Another just perfect song. Cross-Tight Walker has this train vibe, little rockabilly action. Sinister Purpose, another one that just feels sinister. They do a really good job of titling their songs. Darker energy. The melody of the way he says sinister purpose is absolutely fantastic. Some of the rhythm stuff in here is fantastic. And then we close out with a cover, The Nighttime is the Right Time. Great album closing energy, super fun song. I love Green River. I just think it's a perfect, perfect album. And it's got a little darker, more intense, sinister energy that they lead into. Absolutely perfect. Not a fan of the remaster. There is a remastered version of this. I thought the guitars were a little brighter and a little up more in the mix slightly that I wasn't a fan of. There was not going to say murky, but there is this more of a swampier vibe to the earlier mix that I prefer than the remaster. I was like, oh, I checked that out and did not enjoy it. But anyways, yeah, that's what they look like in writing right there. Those top three are, I think, classic albums from start to finish. Like, I don't think you can go wrong with any of those three. That's their third, fourth, and fifth album. They were on a streak, and I think those were all dropped within like a year of each other. But yeah, that's where I would rank them. So yeah, that's all I got. That's my ranking of Creedence Clearwater Revival's 7 studio albums. You can skip Mardi Gras, but I do think everything else at some level is worth checking out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. You know how those things work. And peace. Talk to you later.